With Season 22, we had a bunch of new weapons drop, and I'm going to basically looking into all the roles that they've got, and I'm going to be using Light.gg to do this. Obviously, if you want to check out Light.gg yourself, the link is in the description for you to go look. I would highly recommend you go have a look at this if you are actually interested in learning things like God rolls. Naturally, with the weapons I'm going to go through, I'm not going to talk about the tessellation because that is technically a part of the final shape. Dead Man's Tail and Dead Messenger are pretty much the same, albeit you can craft them now, so there's not really much to look at there. But the ones I'll specifically look at are the ones you can get from the seasonal activities, as well as the new ritual weapon, which is called Malediction, or I think that's how that's pronounced anyway, but we're going to have a quick look. It does come with a few interesting perks. But to go over its stats very quickly, impact of 92, making it a very strong hand cannon, which is to be expected with it being a 120 RPM. And it also has a magazine of 9. The perks that you can get with this are Discord, Enlightened Action, Harmony, and Explosive Payload. So there is actually quite a bit of combinations you can do here and just style your play off that. For example, if you're very good at getting headshots with hand cannons, you might opt for going for Harmony instead of Explosive Payload. But on the counter side to it, you might go for Explosive Payload if you're running a PvE activity and you want to do AoE damage. But the really nice thing about ritual weapons is you can select what the origin perk is going to be. So you can have Wildcard, which is this season's new one, which is where you create something known as experimental submunitions at the target's location on a final blow. But on top of that, you can have Vanguard's Vindication, which means you get a small amount of health with every kill, which is always nice to have. One quiet moment for increasing reload speed when out of combat. I'm going to be honest, I don't use this one much because I don't need the reload speed really, because when I play as Hunter, I just dodge to get the reload. Gun and Run on the other hand, I personally think this is useless, but maybe you want to use it for fun. So it really comes down to if you want to have Vanguard's Vindication or Wildcard if you want to try that out. Of course, there is no actual God roll or preferred roll for me because you pretty much get it as a standard as soon as you unlock it from any of the core vendors, so just get it and have fun. But now let's have a look at the Nox Perennial, and this is the new fusion rifle that came out. It is a strand type, so it comes into your kinetic slot, which is always a nice and interesting thing to see. The only thing I really don't like about this is it's 960 charge time, so it takes a long time to charge up. But when you do get the charge time down, it does hit very hard. The perks that I'm probably going to go after when I actually craft one of these is going to be Control Burst and also Under Pressure as well, because naturally, when you are doing Control Burst, your damage is going to go up slowly and the charge time reduces. But on top of that, Under Pressure will actually add more damage to it as well. Naturally, you can always swap out Under Pressure for Envious Assassin, so you get a bigger clip, but that is entirely down to you and how you play. Now for the seasonal hand cannon known as Kept Confidence, and this is something that's been quite interesting. A friend of mine has one of these, and he does actually like how it feels, so I'm going to have to get one of these and craft it and see for myself. It's got 10 in the magazine, 140 RPM, and 84 impact, so the impact is only 8 lower than the ritual weapon this season, making it quite a powerful weapon. For this hand cannon, I'd actually be looking at a combination of multi-kill clip and killing wind for the perks. So basically what will happen is when you reload the weapon after you get a bunch of kills, it will actually increase the damage of the hand cannon. And then on the same factor, Killing Wind, when you get final blows, you'll also have bonus mobility, weapon range, and handling. Next weapon is the Hermetic Pulse Rifle, which is a stasis kinetic pulse rifle, which is already good in my eyes because I've been looking for a replacement for Peace of Mind for a little while now. Hopefully this will be the one because it is a 340 RPM, 28 magazine, and 33 impact. And not only that, you can have a deadly PvP combo on this, which is Outlaw and Kill Clip. These two in unison is always a deadly and devastating combination. The reason being is when you get kills with Kill Clip on, you basically get 25% buff in damage, and then on top of that, when you actually reload after a precision kill, your reload time becomes greatly reduced. So basically think you can get one kill, reload straight away, which will happen near enough in a second, and you will have 25% extra damage when you do. Moving on to the sniper rifle, which sounds like a Harry Potter spell, Locus, Locutus, and this is a kinetic stasis sniper rifle. I'm always a fan of these subclasses, but there seems to be an awful lot this season, whether just being strand or stasis. 4 round in the magazine, 90 RPM, 70 impact for a sniper, which isn't bad. You can get opening shot on the sniper rifle, but I would actually opt for either high ground or maybe even kill clip. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm a PvE player, so I tend to look at things that will increase my damage. Opening shot is normally a favorite among PvP players, so if that is what you're going for when this role is being crafted, opening shot's going to be your best friend. But for PvE, high ground, I would even say firing line might be a good idea, because if you are doing boss DPS, for example, firing line is going to give you extra damage on your sniper as well. And of course, kill clip is just a straight up 25% increase in damage when you reload. And again, depending on the situation, I might just go for ensemble on the third column, because if I am actually doing boss damage and I'm standing around with teammates, Ensemble's going to give me more handling and reload speed. But of course there are things like Overflow, but I wouldn't recommend pairing this with a weapon that you are going to reload to activate the other perk. But of course there is a second fusion rifle that was dropped, which is called the Eremite, and this is a solar fusion rifle, so it's going into your energy slot. Again, much like the Strand one, it has a magazine of 5, 960 charge time, and 95 impact. And of course, because this is mostly focused on damage, I would actually go for Controlled Burst and Envious Assassin as the combination for this weapon. The reason being is if you use control burst and you hit every shot in the burst with the fusion rifle, you will get a reduced in charge time for a short duration, as well as some damage increase. Envious Assassin, if you got kills with a weapon before that, you will actually have a bigger magazine when you pull it out. Next up is Briar's Love, and this is a Void Energy Scout Rifle. So this one was a bit up in the air for me and my friend, because normally when it comes to a Void Scout Rifle, we'll opt for Aisha's Embrace. But when he tried this out, he did say it wasn't that bad. It does have a magazine of 16, 180 RPM, and 62 impact, which isn't bad. As for perks, Rapid Hit has got to be a must in the third column, but there is actually quite a lot of options in the fourth column. So there is Destabilizing Rounds if you want to have more of an ad clear weapon. You can have Frenzy, which is a favorite if you have a weapon with a bigger magazine. Explosive Payload, which is always good for the AoE damage. And then there's a new perk called Precision Instrument, which basically, if you do sustain damage, it will increase your precision damage, which, let's face it, with a scout rifle, you're most likely going to be doing that. Moving on to the heavier stuff, we have Eleatic Principle. At least I think I've said that right. It is an arc machine gun that sits in the power slot, which is no surprise there. It's a machine gun after all. Standard magazine is 75 with an RPM of 900. Dealing 25 on impact. With a weapon like this, you are going to want something like Target Lock. So Target Lock is probably one of the best perks that you can get for a machine gun. It basically allows you to do increased damage the longer you do damage to the enemy. And because of that, we want a very nice trait known as Zen Moment. So when you're doing damage over time with this, you can actually reduce your recoil and flinch, which is even better if you're going for precision damage. And then let's not forget, you can also put extended mag onto this to make it a 96 magazine. And then on top of that, you can chuck a backup mag on it as well, which will then take your magazine to a total of 115, which is really good for a 900 RPM. And the last weapon on the list, we have the Semiotician. I hope I'm saying that right, but we'll wait and see. It is a Strand rocket launcher, which sits in the power slot. Go figure. Standard magazine is 1, which is pretty much the exact same for every rocket launcher. RPM is 15, 90 blast radius, but if I'm being honest, I don't think the blast radius matters too much as long as it's down and you do more damage. But something I can see straight away is that this is not going to be a damaged rocket launcher. It is going to be an ad clear rocket launcher, if anything. And the main reason for that is the only kind of damage perk on here is Explosive Light, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of. I know it does quite a bit extra, which is always good. But I want this to be an ad clear rocket launcher, so I'm going to go Linear Compensator to start with, because it's just a nice boost to blast radius, velocity, and stability. Impact Casing, because in my eyes, Impact Casing is always good on a rocket launcher. It means more damage. Field Prep, because you can have a lot more reserves if you do this, and there is a reason why for this. Because finally, we are going to have Bipod, and I've been testing out Bipod quite a bit, and this would be quite interesting to pair Bipod and Field Prep together, because you will have a lot of reserves. So just to kind of eyeball it, I think you'll be looking at somewhere in the area of 15 rockets. And the fact that you can have Bipod on this and you can load 2 at once, I don't see why you shouldn't use this for ad clear, if I'm being honest. But that is pretty much all these seasonal weapons that has come out for this season. They do look interesting, but none of them seem to have a substantial impact. And I'm probably not going to carry over into the newer seasons, which again is a bit sad. And even though I didn't cover this, I will just have one mention out. I wasn't going to cover any Vanguard weapons, but I want to point out something with the Showrunner. So I got the Showrunner randomly, and I'm always a fan of 900 RPM SMGs, which this one is. Comparable to something like the Callus Mini Tool, it does hit quite hard, and it also rolls with kinetic tremors. And if you don't know what kinetic tremors are, they basically cause a shockwave if you hit an enemy with enough bullets. And considering the fact that this is a kinetic submachine gun, it allows you to free up the energy slot for something that's going to have a bit more bang for its buck. And something else that's really good with this as well, it does roll with overflow, so you can actually have a 74 magazine SMG that can proc kinetic tremors. And that's not even talking about the extended mag or even the backup mag that you can put onto this as well. 900 RPM SMGs are always really good to go to, and this is definitely up there with them. But as always, remember to leave a comment down below telling me what your thoughts and opinions are, and let me know what your favourite weapon is of this season. I would love to know. But I shall see you all in the next video.